Hello students, in this video we will be going through the vector control or field oriented control or FOC, field oriented control, FOC control of an induction machine. It is also called decoupling or orthogonal or transvector control. The names are written over here. Usually it is called as vector control or FOC control or field oriented control. These names are not much commonly used, but it is good if you know these names. In order to study the principle of vector control, we need to know the Parkes and Clark's transformation. It was already discussed in the previous video and I am sure all of you have studied these two transformations. Now, moving on to our vector control. In vector control, the induction machine is operating like a separately excited DC motor. Now, in the case of a DC motor, we already know that the torque is proportional to flux into armature current, right? We already know torque is proportional to flux into armature current, where the flux is proportional to the field current IF. So that equation is written as the first equation over here. Torque is equal to Kt dash Ia IF, where Kt dash is just a constant because you are removing the proportionality sign. Similarly, in an induction machine, the torque is proportional to flux linkage psi r and IQS, which is a current which produces the torque. And the flux linkage psi r is proportional to a current IDS. Now, IDS is the field component of current and IQS is the torque component of current. Now, if you want the induction machine to act as a DC motor, what is the specialty of a separately excited DC motor? In a separately excited DC motor, IA and IF are independent. That is, the armature current, if you are varying the armature current, the field current will not vary. And if you vary the field current, the armature current will not vary because the two circuits are separate. Therefore, the currents are independent of each other. Similarly, if the induction machine has to operate like a separately excited DC motor, the currents IDS and IQS must be independent of each other. That is, if there is any variation in the field component, it will not affect the torque. And if there is any variation in the torque component, it will not affect the field component. Now, moving on to how you can obtain this particular independent relation between IDS and IQS. This relation can be obtained only if the current IQS and IDS are 90 degrees apart. Now, in order to know what is the reason for them to be 90 degrees apart, if you are resolving IQS into IDS into a IDS axis, that is, you are taking IDS as the reference and you are resolving IQS into this IDS axis. Now, what is the angle difference between IDS and IQS? It is 90 degrees. So, automatically you can say IDS is equal to cos 90 into IQS. I don't have any pen to write properly, that is why it's not clear. IDS will be equal to cos 90 into IQS. What is cos 90? Cos 90 is 0. So that means there is no component of IQS within IDS. Similarly, if you are resolving IDS into IQS, you will get IQS is equal to cos 90 into IDS. Again, you can see that it is 0. So that means there is no component of IDS in IQS. Therefore, if you are changing IQS, it will not change IDS. And if you are changing IDS, it will not change IQS. I hope it is clear. Now, the current IDS, this part is quite important. The current IDS is analogous to the current field current. We already saw that IDS is the field component of the particular current and the IQS current is analogous to the armature current of the DC machine. So, this point is important. You have to note it and all of these points have already been discussed. Now, moving on, there is a portion called equivalent circuit and phasor diagram in your photostats. It is not compulsory that you study it. It is well and good if you study it. I am not discussing it in this video because I am only covering the basics and basics required for this vector control over here. It is good if you study this particular portion. If you are studying it and if you have any doubts, you can contact me. I will not be discussing this portion over here. I am just skipping this portion. I am moving on to the main principle of vector control. In order to discuss these portions, I am just taking a particular block diagram. Okay, so the block diagram is given in the next page after principle of vector control. This block diagram is basically covering everything which vector control has to say. or how vector control is being controlled is given in this particular block diagram. This block diagram is very, very important. Okay, now we know that our machine is rotating. Now we are going to give a three-phase supply to our machine, and the three-phase supply we are giving it as a voltage which is stationary, and the stationary voltages produce a synchronously rotating magnetic field. This magnetic field will, you all know the operation of induction machine, it will start to rotate the machine. Now, why are we doing vector control? Vector control is carried out so that you can do certain operations to change the speed or to find out the torque requirements. Basically, vector control is used to control the induction machine. So what we are going to do is that we know the supply given is a three-phase supply, and for any machine we can find out the rotating two-phase model of the machine. How can you find that? How is it possible? We have already studied the Clark's transformation. The three-phase stationary reference frame can be converted into a two-phase stationary reference frame. So here you are carrying out Clark's transformation. So in this particular block, Clark's transformation is taking place. After that, you will be carrying out Park's transformation. That is, the two-phase stationary terms or reference frame is converted into a two-phase rotating, synchronously rotating reference frame, and we can find out the two-phase synchronously rotating frame of the particular machine. That is at present how the synchronous speed of the machine is at present. We can know that. Accordingly, we can calculate the speed of the induction machine. Now suppose I want to carry out some controlling measures. I will be taking the feedback from here and I will be giving it to my particular controller. So I have taken a feedback and I have given it to my controller. The controller will compare it with some standard values, and now the controller has two-phase synchronously rotating terms or variables with it. The controller is having as an input two-phase synchronously rotating variables, but that variables cannot be given to the machine. Why? Because as the input you need to give three-phase stationary input has to be given to the machine. So now what do you have to do? You need to carry out the inverse transformation. The two-phase synchronously rotating terms, after doing the comparison, it will be converted using the inverse Park transformation. It will be converted to two-phase stationary reference frame. And then after carrying out the inverse Clark transformation, this two-phase stationary reference frame will be converted into the three-phase stationary reference frame, and then correspondingly this input will be given to the machine so that our desired parameters will be obtained for the machine. So I hope it is clear. Within the machine, what are we doing? We are giving the machine three-phase supply. The three-phase supply is converted. The three-phase supply, the machine uses it and it runs as usual. So what is happening within the machine? The three-phase variables, we are this is our mathematics we are using over here. The three-phase variables are converted to a two-phase stationary. The two-phase stationary is converted to two-phase synchronously rotating frame, and correspondingly we are finally getting the output of the machine. This is all based on the simulation, and this output is sent back to the controller. The controller does some comparisons, and then the two-phase synchronously rotating reference frame is converted to two-phase stationary. Two-phase stationary is converted to the three-phase stationary variables, and finally it is given to the machine. I hope it is clear. You are carrying out the transformation within the machine. That is, the machine is operating and we are doing some mathematical calculations, and we are assuming that a transformation is taking place and we got the two-phase synchronously rotating frame. Then the controller gets these parameters. Inverse transformation takes place. And it is converted to the three-phase stationary variables. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can contact me. Now, you already know these equations. So, whenever vector control is asked, first you need to tell how the induction machine is acting as a DC separately excited motor. Then you have to draw this particular block diagram and explain it. After explaining the block diagram, you need to write each transformation equation. You already know Clark's transformation. You know the metrics. You know the metrics for the Sparks transformation, you know the inverse matrix and you know this inverse matrix also. All of these matrices are given before the block diagram. You can see it over here how the variables are being converted has been given in the just previous page. Okay, so if all of these are written, you will be getting full marks for the vector control. Next, for your information, we had it is actually a more higher level notes. I will be just discussing the with one sentence what each control is. There are basically two types of vector control. You have direct vector control and indirect vector control. Direct vector control is also called feedback vector control. Indirect vector control is called the feed forward vector control. So with one sentence I will be just discussing it in this video. For more information you can read the notes. If you have any doubt you can ask me. Okay, so in the direct vector control, the direct vector control, as the name suggests, that is a feedback vector control. As the name suggests, we are going to take feedback from the induction motor. We will be taking the speed, the voltage and the current. The voltage and current are measured and correspondingly the calculations are carried out and vector control is being taking place. You can see over here vector control is taking place. The two-phase rotating is converted to two-phase stationary to three-phase. Correspondingly, you are giving the input to the VSI. The VSI takes the signals and correspondingly changes will be given to the induction machine. So it is a feedback control normal closed loop operation. Now, sorry, in the indirect feedback control, there are some phasor diagrams also. I am not discussing all of these portions because it is a topic which is more in depth into the vector control. I am not sure, I don't think that much depth is required. Now in the indirect feed forward vector control, phasor diagrams are there, I am not explaining it. In the indirect control, what we are doing is that we are not taking any parameters of the induction motor. We are not going to measure anything from the induction motor. We are just seeing that at a particular moment, we already know how the induction machine is working. So what we are going to do is that after 10 seconds, we are assuming that the induction machine will be at this position at this particular time period. That is, with our calculations, we already know this particular case, and correspondingly, you will be taking the feed forward signals and doing the particular calculations. That is, after 10 seconds, I want my machine to run at, presently if my machine is running at 1000 RPM, after 10 seconds I want it to run at 1500. So I already know after 10 seconds it should run at 1500. So with that particular information, that is after 10 seconds I need 1500. With that particular information, I will be doing the particular processing. If you feel it as a complicated, you can just write feed forward signals are being used or certain calculations are being used. Try to make the concept clear. You are not taking any exact feed forward. Only the speed is being measured over here to check whether the changes have occurred or not. Only to see whether the change has occurred or not, we have taken a small feedback of speed, but no other parameters being measured over here. We are just assuming that after 10 seconds this should be my output, so correspondingly I will change my input now to get that particular output. So that is just the basic working of how the indirect control is taking place. So vector control is a very important topic. You need to write down the how it is working as a DC separately excited motor. The block diagram is very important. Accordingly, you should also write the matrices with the block diagram, and if it is possible, you can write there are two control methods, direct and indirect control. So I hope all of you will study well. In the next video, we will be going through the space vector modulation. It is also a very important topic. In this module, you have only very few topics and no problems at all. No problem is there in this module. So please study well for these topics. Thank you, and in the